guys, thanks for checking out our show, Performance Anxiety, a proud member of the Pantheon Podcast Network. Now, I am fortunate enough to have Kristian Dunn and Tim Fogarty, also known as L1011, on the podcast. They've been a band for 18 years, and in addition to finding out how they met and began playing, I also learned that Kristian hears music in the strangest places, like hearing the theme to Land of the Lost in his Dishwasher. There's a lot of joking, some at Brian Eno's expense, so I guess he's never coming on the podcast. I hear some touring disaster stories, including a time when Kristian's back went out on stage, and how their new album, Tautology, grew from being an EP to a triple album. Check them out on all the streaming platforms, which they love, Bandcamp, their website, l1011.com, and follow us at PerformanceANX. And if you enjoy the shows, feel free to check us out at ko-fi.com. That's ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. And you can get us a cup of coffee. There's absolutely no commitment or subscription necessary. So I hope you enjoy this episode with Kristian and Tim of L1011 on Performance Anxiety.
You can do one and I'll do one if you want.
Hey, this is Tim.
Hey, this is Kristian from L1011 and you're listening to the Performance... I blew that. That's the one you'll use?
That's
okay.
Part of it.
Hey, this is Kristian from L1011 and you're listening to Performance Anxiety for some reason. This is Kristian from L1011 and you're listening to Performance Anxiety.
Oh, dude, that was a great radio voice.
Thanks very much.
So, I gotta wait for my big ice cube to melt a little bit.
What is that? I know. What's below the ice cube?
It is Buffalo Trace White Dog.
What's White Dog?
All right, I'm glad you asked.
I know Buffalo Trace.
I love Buffalo Trace. So it's hard to Buffalo Trace is not hard to come by around here, and this is. I'll read the back because it's kind of hard to describe here. William LaRue Weller was a distilling pioneer. He took a traditional bourbon recipe and substituted wheat where rye was normally used. This created a soft, mellow spirit perfect for sipping. Before this whiskey ever made its way into the barrel for aging, it was drunk straight from the still. It was called White Dog. So this is super hillbilly redneck whiskey.
Is it clear? I can't tell.
Yeah.
It's clear, right?
Yeah, that's what surprised me. Yeah, so it's not bourbon then. I mean,
right. Because it hasn't aged, so it hasn't pulled in any oakiness.
What's it taste closest to?
It's like a sweet whiskey.
Oh.
I'm going to track it down.
It's interesting. It's really, and I don't say 6 to 8 months ago, I had a chef on from Kansas City. And in fact, you can check. It's a really cool episode. Chef Selena Teo. She was.
She's our friend.
Oh,
I knew you were going to say that. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, she's great. Yeah, she was on the show, and so I found this, and I'm like, hey, what the hell is this? She's like, oh, get it, because I don't think they're doing it anymore.
Oh.
So.
Yeah, she had
an amazing bourbon collection at her place.
A bunch of whiskey somewhere, and then was like, that's the batch I want, and then they bottled it with.
Yeah.
I have 2 of the glasses. What's her place called?
The Belfry?
Julian.
The Belfry.
Belfry,
that's it, yeah. I have a couple of those glasses, too.
Oh, she's awesome. Yeah, she came on a second time, and we did an entire show where we took music and we paired it. I sent her a Spotify playlist, and she paired all the music to a bourbon.
Oh, God, I got to listen to that. I had no idea she did that. That's cool.
Oh, she's the best. She is. She's just awesome.
She surprised us. We'll be playing, Atlanta or something, and she just shows up. She's like, hey, we're like, whoa, what are you doing here? It's like, well, I wanted to visit this restaurant and taste this whatever, and so I decided to come see you guys and do that. I'm like, okay.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm going to let her know that you guys are on as soon as we're done, because I had no idea you guys knew each other.
Wow.
It's funny, right when you said this chef in Kansas City, she came to my head. I'm like, nah, there's no way. I'm like, yep.
Well, it's funny because I had you guys may know at this point now a really cool band on called Vast Robot Armies, and John Agee from the band is one of the bartenders at the Belfry.
Oh, okay. Small world.
Yeah. So
I love Kansas like that. Kansas is a small world, Kansas City.
I've never been there. I'm dying to go.
That's great.
I keep hearing so many good things about it from so many people.
Where do you live?
Winchester, Virginia.
No idea where that is.
All right, so I'm almost exactly like 75 miles west of D.C.
Oh, okay.
Like in literally a straight line.
So that's your nearest big city.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we go to D.C. a bunch. We usually go see some Nats games, enjoy the museums, all the free stuff because I can't afford to pay anything in D.C. So
yeah, it's crazy there.
It is. But thank you guys so much for coming on, man. This is really cool. I want to thank Jack Bates really for introducing me to you guys.
And us to you. He's the one who told us about you.
Oh, that's awesome. He's he's such a nice guy, and I'd heard of the band, heard of you guys, but once he started telling me about it and talking about you guys, I'm like, all right, I have to check you guys out. So, and I'm really glad I did because I'm just blown away by the music. It's kind of hard to describe. It's like kind of like, to me, it sounds kind of like if King Crimson had a danceable beat.
I like that. I'll take it.
So, but before we get too much into the band and the sound, the music, and how the hell you guys managed to pull off any of this stuff live, I want to find out a little bit more about how you got into music in the first place. And Tim, we can start with you. How did you get into music in the first place? Were you playing as a kid? Has it always been drums for you?
Yeah, I mean, I played as a kid, but like my brother was really musical, and I kind of messed around with him, and I ended up having friends and started playing music. So but I never really had a bunch of musicians around me as a kid, and I was kind of more into playing hockey and stuff when I was like growing up. So it wasn't until I got into college where I started kind of taking it seriously, and then it was like kind of all about it.
So when did you start playing in bands and playing live? And was it always a mix of acoustic and electric, or?
Yeah, I've been doing the acoustic electric thing since like mid '90s.
Oh,
because
wow.
I was kind of over guitar rock in the mid '90s, and I'm like, I just kind of want to play hip hop stuff. And so I just needed an 808 and like a clap sound. So I had like a little thing that you could get a trigger, and and did that in Pittsburgh for a while.
Oh, okay, Pittsburgh. All right. So Kristian, what about you? Was music something that you took to early on?
Yeah, I was kind of obsessed with music from a young age. I would hear music everywhere. I've mentioned this before in other podcasts or whatever, but I would hear music in the one that I remember is I would hear the theme song to Land of the Lost in our dishwasher. And I would but I would never tell anybody about that because I knew it was weird, and when you're a kid, you kind of just want to be like everyone else.
Yeah.
So I started.
Weird.
It is weird for sure, and I still have that. Like I still hear music everywhere, but now
I'm gonna have to listen to my dishwasher tonight. Now I'm gonna be sitting there with my ear to the dishwasher door, and I'm like, all right, Land.
I bet you'll get something. You'll get something out of it.
My scanner used to play like a really cool beat when you would scan something. It would do it like twice and go. And it was like, I gotta sample that. I probably sampled it and never used it, but I always was like, that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Like the blinkers in your car are a good one. But so anyway, I was kind of obsessed with music. So my parents said it would be cool if I joined the school band. So I played clarinet for a couple years, and I really liked that. But I wasn't hearing the music we were playing at the school band wasn't the music I was listening to at home, which was, well, now it would be called classic rock. And then there was two rock radio stations where I grew up in the Bay Area in Northern California. One was the classic rock station, and the other was what we would now call, like, I guess, new wave or modern rock or whatever. And so I'd go back and forth between those two, and I started getting really obsessed with that music. And I just couldn't play that music on clarinet, so eventually I I talked my dad into renting me a bass because he's like, I bought you this clarinet. You don't play it anymore. Why would I buy you another instrument? Oh, please. And that was it. I'm still upset.
Because I don't hear the clarinet on this radio station, Dad.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of clarinet solos.
Yeah. Actually, would have been cool if I could have figured out a way to do rock on clarinet. That would have been really kind of amazing.
There is still time.
There is.
Someone doesn't.
I don't want to relearn how to play clarinet.
Come on, you got a whole pandemic. You can work it out with.
True.
I mean, this shit ain't ending anytime soon.
No, we're not going to be touring for a while.
Oh, that sucks. Because I'm dying to see you guys live. I want to see how this stuff works live, but
you'll be disappointed, I'm sure.
So, how did the two of you meet? So, you guys are on different coasts and different types of bands, different music.
No, I come out to California by then. Like,
okay,
yeah, I came out in '97, and in like 2002 or 2001, something like that.
Okay, so
when we met, yeah.
So
how did you guys meet?
Post 9/11. I know 9/11 had already happened, but other than that, I can't remember exactly.
No, that's pretty good marker. I had a friend in high school who was a musician who was just really kind of an acquaintance. His name was Kevin Nye. Hey, Kevin, if you're listening. And I was walking into a cafe in LA, and he was walking out. We just ran into each other, and we started catching up. And he said he had started a band that had two drummers. It turned out it was Tim on electronic drums and another friend of ours on acoustic drums, and they were looking for a bass player.
Okay.
Oh, ooh, that sounds cool. I want to try that. So I came out and started playing with them, and that band never got off the ground. But when I decided I wanted to start L1011, I wanted Tim because he was an electronic drum player, which I thought sounded amazing, and no one else was doing that. Plus, he made me laugh a lot, so I called him up.
That's good. I mean, even if he's not the best, if he makes you laugh, it makes it more fun anyway.
Yeah.
You can always be the best later. You got to have that chemistry first.
Yeah.
So how did you guys decide on the name L1011?
Well, I'm a pilot, and I'm nerdy about aviation, and L1011 is an old airliner that was of ahead of its time, and it failed commercially due to political stuff, not the plane itself. And I thought, well, symbolically, that's kind of probably going to be perfect. And it turned out I was right. Plus, it just kind of sounded cool. I think, if I remember right, we had a short list of names that we kind of liked, and then we decided it was time to go play our first gig. So we had to pick one.
Man,
so,
I hear that so many times. We had like 3 or 4. And somebody says, we got to have something to put on the posters. What is it? And, I don't know. It's this one.
I'm just so glad we don't hate it. Like,
yeah, it's true.
That
good percentage of that would be like, this is a horrible name. We need to like if we started the band in the frat house at the keg house at the I probably wouldn't be into the name anymore.
It would have been like the name of
mature adult.
It would have been like the name of the only band I was ever in, which was a Super Karate Monkey Death Car.
Oh, I like that name.
And that's everybody. It was terrible back in '95 or so. Whenever that
reminds me of that book, High Fidelity, where he says when they made it into a movie, it was the Jack Black characters.
Yeah.
The name of the band I think was Sonic Death Monkey.
Oh yeah.
Was that right?
I think
what was your band name?
Super Karate Monkey Death Car.
So SK what?
SKMDC.
MC. SKMC.
Yeah, SKMDC.
I mean, you can't be a serious band with that name.
Oh, no.
But that's a great name.
I played guitar, and I never took lessons, really, so I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then my other, there was only 3 of us. My other 2 friends who played, they kind of switched back and forth on drums and bass. And the drummer, so they were good. So the drum set didn't have any cymbals. So we were doing we were Peter Gabrieling it at that point.
Yeah.
So, but we didn't know at the time, but it was terrible. Although we had a blast, we drank a lot, we recorded some awful stuff, but it was a lot of fun. So,
well, that's all that matters.
Yeah. So I didn't know you were a pilot. That's awesome. My grandfather was a pilot. He was a pilot during World War II and flew until his like mid-80s.
Wow,
So
good for him.
Yeah, he had a Cessna 310 forever.
Oh, nice. Those are kind of hard to fly, as I understand.
Well, yeah, he flew B-26s during the war, so
All right.
he was badass. Dude was
Yeah,
the most natural pilot I've ever seen.
That's amazing.
He let me fly once.
Okay.
I was like 10 or 12 years old. We're going down to Florida from New Jersey, and he's like, "Hey, come on up here." Well, my dad knew how to fly too, and he kicked my dad out of the co-pilot seat and said, "All right, hop in." I'm like,
Nice.
All right. He's like, "Just don't do anything."
Straight and level, kid.
Exactly. So all right. So you guys, you get together. Was there an idea for the sound that you wanted ahead of time, or were you working things out? I mean, is the band's sound, was it fully formed early on, or was that a lot of experimentation?
I kind of had an idea of what I wanted it to sound like, and I thought we would need a third musician. I was thinking maybe a keyboard player because I was just so tired of guitar. But Tim mentioned a looping pedal, or asked me if I'd ever heard of a looping pedal, and I don't think I had. But I did have a friend I found out who had one, and I borrowed it. And we had it. I think it was our first band practice that I brought that, and it was just the bass, drums, and a looping pedal, and we both got really excited to have it be just the two of us right then, because we're like, oh my God, how amazing would it be if it was just the two of us?
And this was like, looping pedals are kind of all over the place with like acoustic dudes and all that kind of stuff, so it's not as crazy as it was. So like when I saw the first person use the looping pedal, it was John Bryan. I'm like, how is he doing? He would sit down, play the drums. There would be a microphone over it. That would keep going. He'd sit over at the piano, play something on the piano, and sing something. That would get in the mix. He'd go somewhere else, and it turned out it was like pedals. But I don't know. That was like, he was the only person I've seen use them up to that point. And so, so our minds were kind of blown. Like, oh my God, this is great.
Well, I would imagine that especially at that point on, they're kind of expensive too.
I don't remember them, because I think the first one I got was that Line 6, I think it's the DL4, the green one.
Yeah.
I don't think it was that bad. They were poorly made, though. I must have gone through about 4 of them before I gave up and went on to something else, because they would just break. Like the buttons would just fall into the pedal mid-show. And it was like, okay, well, we don't have a looper now, so we don't have a show.
Suddenly it becomes acoustic L1011.
Yeah, but it was way more of a novelty back then. In fact, I kind of worried that people would only want to come see us because they wanted to watch the guys juggling, not because the music was good. But thankfully, a lot of people come to shows these days, and if they find us afterwards and talk to us, they say, "Oh my God, I had no idea it was just 2 guys," which is cool because that means they like the music. So
yeah, exactly. Your first album came out in 2005. So how long were you 4? Okay, so how long were you guys working on it? How long between the time you got together and the time that album came out?
I think it was 2 years. I think we got together right about like August of 2002. That's my memory. I could be wrong. Does that sound about right to you, Tim? I think.
Yeah, I don't sound. Yeah.
A couple years.
I have video. Like at the time, I didn't have anything to record with. Like I didn't have a 4-track or whatever, so I just had a little camcorder. So I put a camcorder in the corner of the room the first time we got together. And it's like, my drums are kind of in the shot, like maybe half of my head. Sometimes Kristian steps in and out of the shot. It really wasn't to try to get us on video. It was just so I could hear, because then I could put digitize like that into my computer or whatever I had. Maybe I didn't even have that at the time. I don't remember. Maybe I was burning CDs. Who knows? I think I burned CDs.
Yeah,
actually. And then every band practice, I would give him a CD from the last band practice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I still have some of those.
Get it into my computer, burn a CD.
Wow.
Yeah. So I could find out when that was anyway. Go ahead.
That is awesome. That's the kind of stuff that me as a music, and I love hearing that stuff. How
I'm gonna tape in here. Hold on.
all right.
Super. That's the first day.
But all right, so I'll keep going on with that thought while Tim goes on his scavenger hunt. As a music fan, when I find a band that I like, I love hearing the progression of the music from when you guys start to the actual finished album finished, because I know a lot of the times it's not finished once, even after it's on the album. But
yeah,
that's the kind of stuff that really fascinates me, hearing how it progresses.
August 2002. Doesn't say, it just says August 2002 on my CD.
Okay, so I was right.
Man,
18 years ago.
I'm blown away that you could just pull that out. You knew where it was. That was awesome.
There was a time like I borrowed a because I have a bunch of little cassettes like from like the mini DV, I guess. And so my friend had a deck, so I have like a little box of stuff that I was trying to get off of that onto something, and that was in that box. So I just knew it was in there.
That is awesome.
It's not always that handy. It's usually in a box in a closet with another box. But that one just happened to be handy.
So after that album came out, you guys ended up working on a movie soundtrack to the movie Helvetica.
Mm-hmm.
How did that come about? Because that's a pretty interesting transition from just working on your own stuff to you guys to doing an entire movie soundtrack.
Well, that was a San Diego connection that really started it all. So the guy who made that movie is named Gary Hustwit, and he was a San Diego guy, and I was too, and actually I am again now. But he and I knew each other. We weren't close friends or anything, but we were acquaintances. And so he knew L1011. He loved it, and he just hit me up. He said, "Your music is really kind of perfect for this soundtrack I'm working on." I said, "Oh, what's the movie?" He said, "Well, it's a movie about a font." I'm like, okay, that sounds horrible. That sounds like the most boring movie ever made, and I was wrong. It's actually really fascinating. Have you seen it?
I have not.
Yeah, I recommend it.
I have seen it around, but it's again. I'm looking at it's a movie about a font.
I know. What's really interesting about it is how pervasive it is in our society, and you just don't realize it. And he explains why, and he shows all these examples. It's unbelievable how much Helvetica there is in this world, and it's every time it's used, it's a choice, and he goes into why people are choosing it and stuff. Anyway, that was really nice because we got a lot of notice, from people early on from that. So it was great, and we ended up doing a couple more movies for him. So it's been awesome. His last movie he made, he used Brian Eno. So I'm like, well, if someone's going to knock us off, it can be Brian Eno. That's it.
Still, Eno.
Yeah, I mean, fuck that guy.
What's he done lately? Come on. I mean, if this was like 1978, I'd be like, yeah, awesome. But
whoa, I guess Brian Eno's not going to be on this podcast.
You guys do a lot of touring.
We did.
You do, okay, yeah. Correction. You guys have done a lot of touring, but the music is so complex. I saw I guess it's a pedal board. It's there's so much on it, but the two of you both play through it, right?
Yeah.
How does that work? And I can't imagine two complete instruments, two separate things going through the same pedal board and making it work, because I'm not that smart.
I don't go through his effects. I just go through his looper.
Okay, that makes a little more sense to me.
and a little bit of some other trickery to kind of get it so it's not chaotic and where it's looping a bunch of times and all this stuff. So we had to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a problem to solve.
Tim, you play both acoustic and electric drums live. Do you have a problem? And I keep saying, I keep starting my question and interrupting myself. Sometimes, or a lot of times, you play acoustic and electric in the same song. Mm-hmm. Is that a problem playing when you play it live? Is the sound is different enough that it creates any kind of difficulty to recreate?
Like if we're in like a normal size place, everything kind of, what I usually do live, especially, is I'll have like a bass cabinet behind me that just has electric drums in it. That way, if there's anybody that's like kind of in the front that can hear my real drums, because like I don't want them to like there's mic'd up drums and you hear that, but then you also hear cymbals and real drums that are coming from a specific spot on stage or whatever if you're close enough.
Yeah.
Then electronic drums are coming from up here, but I'm trying to play them at the same time, so it's just stupid. So I ended up putting like a bass cabinet behind me, so everything's kind of coming from the same spot at the same volume ish.
Okay.
And otherwise, it's up to whoever's doing sound. Like usually, we've been lucky; we've had some really good sound guys that we always get crazy good compliments on, and I trust and stuff. So, but I don't know. I just kind of I've been doing it so long; it's normal.
Yeah, it's second nature at this point. I mean, like you said, 18 years.
Yeah, I've had electronics in some way, shape, or form.
All right, so Kristian, you're into some really weird tunings for your bass. How did you start getting into experimenting with weird tunings?
That was Michael Manring's fault.
That dude's awesome.
Oh, you know him? Okay,
yeah.
Cool. For those who don't, he's a solo bass player guy who uses really weird tunings. I mean, he'll use really light strings so he can really do strange tunings. But I remember reading about him. This is quite a while ago. I mean, gosh, maybe late 80s. He put out his first record, and I read about it, and this was back when there was no internet to check out music. So I just went and bought I think I bought the CD without having heard any of it. I just went for it. And there was a song on there called Long Hair Mobile or something like that. Anyway, it's a bass solo, and it's beautiful. But I could hear that some of the strings, I could tell it was an open string ringing, but it wasn't E, A, D, or G.
Okay.
Like one of them, I grabbed my bass, I'm like, that's whatever it was, it's B flat. Or I thought, what? Oh, the kind of light bulb went off in my head because I had messed with my E string, the lowest string. I tuned it down to D, which a lot of people do. That was all I had ever done. I'm like, wait a second, I could mess with the other strings too. And that was it. So I started messing around, but I was playing in bands that were a little more normal, for lack of a better term. So I'd go back and forth between standard tuning and my weird tunings. And eventually I settled on a weird tuning that is my standard tuning, really.
Oh, cool.
And that's what I use in L1011 mostly, although there's lots of L1011 songs where there's even weirder tunings, which is a pain live because I've got to stop and tune, or I've got to have another bass that's already ready to go in that weird tuning or whatever. Okay. But I just love the way it sounds. It just, to me, some of the strings, if you put an A string, you just tune it down to G, it just sounds better. I don't know why. It's just the tone of it is really cool. Okay. And I've always been attracted to that. So that it's just, for me, it's natural to use weird tunings. Then it makes it really hard for people to cover our songs.
That's true. Well, everything you guys do makes it hard for people to cover your songs.
That's true.
You guys are incredibly complex, and for to be the two of you, it blows me away. Was the band always meant to be an instrumental band with no vocals, or is that just you kind of got tired of looking for somebody?
No, I always thought it was going to be instrumental from the beginning because neither Tim or I can sing. Plus, I thought instrumental would be cool, and we never tried to find a singer or anything. We just went for it, instrumental. And oddly enough, later on, we started messing around with singers. Like we put out a record just a few years ago, called "Unusable Love" that has a singer.
I was going to ask you about that one.
Yeah, and so we've just started messing around. Like we've got all kinds of. I don't know how many singers we've worked with, a dozen, and it's really challenging because no one seems to ever want to finish anything.
Yeah,
but we love collaborating with people. It's just we're always waiting on them, and they rarely finish things. Or sometimes they do finish things, and then it's not up to our standards, or stylistically it's not quite right, so it doesn't end up getting released.
Okay.
But Unusable Love made it out. Yay! We actually released one.
So how did you guys decide to release an EP with vocals? What was the reason for that?
Well, we wanted to start collaborating with people, not even necessarily singers. Like it could have been other instrumentalists or even artists or filmmakers, whatever. We just wanted to start opening up because Elton 11's always been a very closed off, small world. It's just Tim and me. That's how we wanted it. We wanted it to just be the two of us for years. And then finally we just got to a comfortable point where we thought maybe we should let some other people in, not permanently in the band or anything, but just to see what happens, just record some music and see how it goes. And Emil, he's the singer we worked with. He was the one with whom it worked out, and we actually finished the record. And he's played with us live a couple times. He jumps on stage and plays some songs and stuff. So it was a really great experience with him.
Well, it's a beautiful EP. I was listening to it today, and it's just it's gorgeous.
Thanks.
Did he just do the vocals, or did he contribute musically too? Because he's in another band called The Dig.
Right.
Yeah. He played some guitar on it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But he knows what he's doing, and he it was a collaboration for sure.
Yeah, he was really good about it. Like we met. I think Tim and I were on tour, or maybe we flew in for a festival or something. We were in New York, and that's where he lived at the time. And he came out, and or we went to his rehearsal studio, whatever it was. We met and we just monkeyed around for a while just to get a vibe on each other. We really dug each other. We dug hanging out too. And then we thought, okay, well, how do we do this? We're on opposite coasts. And he said, well, why don't you just send me any ideas that you already have, and let's see what happens. And so I did. And he picked 4 ideas that he really liked. And he said, I think I could just sing on these ones that you already have. Let's just start there. So we did. And then we just arranged them with him. And that was it. I think that's the 4 songs that are on the record. We just decided to focus and finish those 4, and it worked. It's a cool EP.
I try to reason with a delicate friend. I told him everyone was calling for him. Now I'm losing him again. There's nothing I can do.
Oh, it is. So you guys didn't have to reconfigure the way you write anything. Those songs were already in some sort of form before you gave them to him.
Yeah, so the ideas were already there, and then he contributed by saying, well, what if we took that thing you're playing there out in that section, but bring it back there? What if I add some acoustic guitar here? Yeah. We started collaborating, and then he flew out to LA, and we went into a recording studio to record his vocals. So we did that all together so we could be there to comment on his performances and stuff, which we didn't really even need to because he just killed it. That's right awesome. Out of the gate. Like first and second takes are all you're hearing. He's just nailing it.
And it was all in like little shit.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're working with this guy named Tom Biller who has a freaking Grammy Award, and he's like, we could just record it in the shed behind my house. We're like, all right.
Hey.
So there's literally a Grammy Award on the shelf with the name on it. It says like Kanye West and Tom Biller, and it that had fallen off, and it's all dusty. And it was
actual gold record player. That was on the Grammy. I think it's like a record player had broken off.
Yeah.
Like, wow, that is something I love about this. A lot.
Hey, I mean,
it was perfect.
Oh my God, it means more on the paycheck than on the little award, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can always say Grammy Award.
Yeah,
but I love that he was, he's a guy who could make more money than he was making with us. He's like, no, let's do it. We'll just do it in my shed. I'm like, right on.
We did like drums in there. He was literally like at the console right here, and he'd be like, "All right, let me just move this mic right here," and he just like move it up. I was like, "This is insane." So I don't know. It was fun though.
Yeah, it was fun.
That is awesome. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. Have you guys ever written a song that you haven't been able to pull off live, or you don't even want to attempt live?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because I'm amazed at what you. I have seen some live clips, and I'm amazed at what you guys managed to do live. So,
well, the first 2 or 3 records, maybe even the first 4 or 5 records, actually, maybe even the first 5 or 6. I don't remember what it was, but I was kind of obsessed with the records being exactly how we did it live. You know, we didn't have to record it live. We could do overdubs and all that stuff. But I wanted what we did on the record to be what we did live, which they were. So whatever, like if you listen to a song on the first record, if you see us do it live, it'll be pretty much the same. I mean, there might be a couple little things here and there that are different. But later, you know, I can't remember exactly where, but, you know, somewhere around maybe transitions or something, we started thinking, well, maybe we could have some songs where we just don't worry about how we're going to do it live. Let's just record them. Just make a good sounding song, and if we end up having to do it live, we'll just figure it out. We can do a version that's kind of different.
Yeah. And
so we've done more of those with each record, and then each time we have to tour, it becomes more of a pain because we're like, oh God, how are we going to do it? It turns out, I mean, I don't know, Tim, what would you say about Banker's Hill, for example, our last record before Tautology? Like half the songs are pretty much how we do it live, and the other half are maybe, oh God, how would we do this live? Something like that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, sometimes things go a little bit longer to get all the parts in there.
Yeah.
But that's still kind of the same, the essence. I mean, they're pretty close.
They are close.
Because you guys don't do samples live.
No, nothing's pre-recorded. So that's a rule for us. So we have to do it all live. So
that's what you mean by things may take longer to...
We go to a new, another part of a song. And on the record, let's say there's 2 basses going. There's a high bass and a low bass. Yeah. Well, live, I have to either I play the low bass for one round, then I'm able to do the high bass, or maybe we'll change it up a little, and Tim will actually play. Sorry, that's my dog.
That's all right.
Tim will play the bass line on his electronic drums with 808 kind of sounds.
Okay.
And I'll do the high thing, and we'll kind of cheat it that way, but it's still us doing it live.
Yeah.
But it just sounds a little different. But actually, sometimes we think that the live ends up sounding better than the record, but it's too late.
Yeah. Well, I'm amazed by the instruments that you guys are using, because I see Tim flying around on electric and acoustic drums, and I see you on a double neck Carvin or your Peter Hook bass, and you guys are just hopping around all over. Oh, there we go. Man.
Yeah. The black one just came today. So.
Oh, is that the one Jack was asking about?
Yeah. So I'm sorry, people who are listening to this won't be able to see it, but
too bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sucks to be them. Get your own podcast.
Describe it for you. It's a bass.
Whoop-de-doo.
No, it's a 6-string bass. You and not the jazz style.
Yeah, it's a bass 6, not a 6-string. Sorry, technically it is a 6-string bass, but the difference for those who care is that it's the regular 4 strings of a standard bass with 2 higher strings instead of 1 lower and 1 higher. So,
okay,
it is different. It extends the range of a bass higher instead of lower and higher.
Okay.
All
right. So, and the reason I was kind of asking about if there's a song that you guys haven't, that you don't want to attempt live, is because I was listening today to Battles Avenue, and I love that song. Have you guys ever done that one live? Because that's just, I can't imagine how you would actually even approach that.
It's actually avies.
Oh, okay.
It's birds. Yeah, totally understandable that you would. Everyone gets that wrong. That's actually, I don't think we ever. I think we rehearsed that one. Like maybe we were going to try it, but that's one of the ones that's in a really weird tuning, so I'd have to stop and tune. And then there's a couple times when, like I was describing, 3 things come in at once.
Yeah.
So we'd have to figure out an arrangement where, well, I do the one thing, then I do the next thing, and then I do the other, or whatever. So I don't think we ever did that one live.
No, not to my recollection.
Yeah.
When you're writing, do you guys? I mean, I'm assuming since it's the two of you, it's pretty collaborative. Like, it's not where one of you guys is coming in with an entire song ready to go, and you just have to teach the other guy.
I kind of do, actually.
Really?
Yeah. He'll send me like his like rough in his laptop version. And since we don't live in the same city, I live in LA and he's in San Diego.
Right.
So I'll just go work on it on my own and send him something back, and then it'll just kind of go like that until we get together. Until we have like a bunch of those, like a handful of those, enough to like have him drive up here and get into a room and try to see if we can actually do it. See if it feels good, see if it sounds good, see if it is worth working on still.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then we just keep doing that.
Yeah. We do it on Tautology. We did it a lot. I definitely pushed Tim to his limits because I think we had 25 songs or something, and we whittled it down to 22 or something. It was ridiculous. It's way too much. It was stupid.
That's why it's coming out as a triptych, right?
Yeah. I definitely. My plan was to only do EPs from here on out because I wanted to make shorter statements more often.
Okay.
And then we were coming up with all these ideas that were very related. And I'm like, okay, well, it'll be 3 EPs that are related. And they kind of grew into 3 records. I'm like, oh my God, I wanted to do EPs and I'm doing a triple freaking record. This is absurd. How pretentious can
Or like everybody was like, yeah, this is good. Even though we're all like, this is so bad. This is so dumb. But
Yeah.
It's the most grandiose statement possible.
yeah.
It is. I mean, it's absurd. But here we are.
Well, when you're writing, do you have the songs in your head, or do you get a new pedal or something and hear a sound, and that's what triggers it? Is there a way things normally happen, or is it just a mixed bag?
Both actually. Like, in fact, on this record, there was a pedal that definitely it's on the record way too much. But a new pedal can totally send us off into a different direction for sure. That's the nature of what we do, because it's just bass and drums, so we got to come up with lots of different ways to do bass and drums, and effects are really, really good for that.
Oh yeah, and after 18 years, you want to make sure you're not repeating yourself. So
yep, exactly. Although people, I think, would like us to repeat ourselves and like us to do the first record again, but we just won't.
No, man, you shouldn't. You shouldn't.
Realize that we'll just run out of things to do, and we just come back to the beginning.
Yeah. It'll be a whole big circle,
like Candyland, where you just go around in a circle in Candyland. Maybe I have that wrong.
It works.
That sounds about right.
I think that'll work. So you guys,
like a Tarantino movie, maybe?
Well, that's where you start at the end and work your way backwards, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Or you just throw it all out of order.
Yeah, exactly.
Fiction. So now we should record our second record, right? Even though we've already recorded 10 or 13 or however many it is.
Exactly. All right, so record number 2 will be out 2021.
Yep.
I was trying to listen to as much of your stuff as possible to prepare for this, and you guys kind of threw me for a loop with the song "You Are Enough," because I'm listening to it and it's got these like electronic drums, very, very beautiful, tasteful drums, and then this loopy bass thing that's going, and I'm expecting like an R&B thing suddenly. Like I'm expecting like, I don't know, Boys to Men or Belle Biv DeVoe to come in and be like, "Oh, girl," but then all of a sudden, like this huge distorted bass comes in, and my dreams of an R&B L1011 album were totally dispatched. So
dreams for years.
Yeah.
But that
It is abrupt. I'm sort of used to it, so I don't ever think of it as. But it is kind of funny if you're expecting something different, and that just comes in like, wow.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's this loopy, cool bass, and the drums are minimal at the beginning and electronic, and it sounds like almost like R&B. So it was
Impact.
Yeah. So I'm expecting like a Barry White voice to come in for your first vocal performance. I don't know
It
what
is
the hell.
kind of a version of a bass sound, though. It's all. Well, I guess not really mellow. It's manly.
It's oh man, and I can't even describe the bass. It's just this really cool loopy bass. So all right, you guys also, one of the really cool things is that you have the most interesting names for tracks. Like I like Van Halen because my sister said it was cool.
Yeah.
How do you name an instrumental track? I imagine it's a lot easier to name a track if you have vocals.
There's various methods. What did you call when he put my last name into some program? Up your name.
Oh, some name generator?
Yeah.
Nice.
And that's one of the songs. Maybe I won't say it, but someone can figure it out which song it is.
I'll give him a clue. It's on the third record.
Your new album is in 3 parts, and the first 2 have already come out as of this recording. So by the time this comes out, the third one should be out. What is tautology? Is that an actual word? Is it an actual thing?
It is. It means saying the same thing over and over.
Oh, so I should just call my podcast.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so we're definitely making fun of ourselves here. When Tim and I were recording Bankers Hill, which is our last record, there was so during the recording, a photographer came up to take our photos, but we were not recording in the same room together. I usually like to be in the control room when I record, and Tim is out in the drum area, so to speak.
Okay.
So he needed some photos of us playing together, so I just brought my bass up into the drum area, which was this living room in this big house, and we were just kind of jamming, not playing L1011 music, just messing around. And we started playing this heavy rock stuff that was, at the time, my memory is that it kind of sounded like Queens of the Stone Age or something. And we both really liked it. It was really fun to do. And we both agreed we need to do a rock record. Like it could not be L1011. It could be a side project that's a different name or something like that.
Okay.
We're like, oh yeah, we're doing this for sure. So I started writing all this rock stuff that was kind of heavy. But at the same time, I was also writing more typical L1011 stuff too, trying to sort through it all and figure out where it's all going to go and what it's all going to be. And part of me is like, we should just do a metal L1011 record. Screw it, like surprise everybody. But then my grandmother-in-law died shortly before I was writing all this stuff, and I wrote a couple songs that just felt so much like they were about her. Yeah. I'm like, oh, okay, so the next L1011 record, I think it's going to be about her. But then I would be working on this really heavy stuff. I'm like, that does not sound like her. So what is this? What is this record? And then the concept kind of came because I started writing stuff that was kind of in between the two. Okay. I'm like, oh, okay, the heavy stuff kind of represents the teenage years. The middle stuff, the kind of typical L1011 stuff, feels like middle age, and then the real mellow, somber, poignant stuff sounds like old age, or maybe even when you die. So I'm like, okay, I think I got it. I think I know what these 3 records are. So that's how it all came about. Did that give you enough time to look at your notes?
It did. My computer is now.
I'm a team player.
And I appreciate that. That'll get you brownie points for whatever that's worth. I record on a really old laptop. I got a nice brand new one for the editing, but I've got an old one for the recording, and it freaks out on me every once in a while. I'm imagining you guys have had some pretty weird freakouts live with some of your electronics because you guys work with so much.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you a quick story because this always makes me laugh whenever I hear people using loopers and all kinds of stuff. Oh, wow. Tim just paused us. Oh, I think he fell down the stairs.
There we go.
Okay.
I set an alarm yesterday to flip something on the grill, and I must have set it all day or something. I don't know.
I was going to say, do we need to go so you can flip your meat? All right, so one of the first people I had on the show was Trey Gunn, and he was talking about this. Yeah, he was talking about this solo show he did. He's doing a trio, and I can't remember the other two guys that were playing with him, but he has this one section where he plays this song. I believe it was Arrakis off one of his solo albums. So he goes and same thing that you guys do. You know, he'll play something and loop it and just build the song over time. And so something will loop, he'll let it play, and then he'll add something to it. And he's got his monitors in his ears. So he's hearing everything build and build and build. And he stops playing the song, it's done. And he looks out in the audience, and everybody's just kind of staring at him with their mouths open.
I know where this is going.
I think I do too.
His monitors were working just fine, but the house wasn't working. So he was just sitting there, and all of a sudden, everyone, like once every between 10 to 30 seconds, he would just come in with this weird line of notes and then just sit still again. And people were just, what the fuck is he doing?
Oh, it's art, man.
But he actually, I'm trying to get him to send it to me because he said it was recorded, and he hasn't sent it to me yet.
I'd love to see that.
Do you guys, you ever had
playing
any
a stick acoustically?
Yeah. You guys have any really weird horror stories like that?
Oh, how many?
Yeah, I mean,
Which one do we pick?
One that I can think of. Is there like the one that was just like, oh, that was the...
How about the one where we were opening for Peter Hook up in like Montreal or something, and it was kind of a not very encouraging audience to begin with, and then your electronic drums just stopped working and weren't coming through my pedals, and we had to stop and fix it because when we were touring with him, we didn't have our crew with us. It was just the two of us, so there was nobody to come out and help us. So this audience that was just staring at us with folded arms, waiting for Peter Hook, and then stuff stopped working. I'm, are you kidding me? With
the perfect crowd for that to happen to.
Yeah, but there's definitely been meltdowns.
Canada always sucks like that.
It does. Like Canada's just not good for us. Actually, Vancouver's all right, but
really.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
About the country. The country's fine. It just always ends up being...
Yeah, we got our gear ripped off there.
Canada's trouble. Oh, okay. So that's something that I wanted to ask you about, Kristian. You've got this particular bass. So you've got to be the luckiest musician that I know because you've had this one special bass stolen twice.
Yep.
But you've managed to recover it both times?
Yeah. Unbelievable.
How the hell...
Yeah, my double neck got stolen too, and I got that back, which is insane.
You've got to be the luckiest musician ever.
I am. I feel like I've used up all my luck. So
it also helps having unique instruments because I can remember when double neck on eBay on tour, like it popped up on eBay. We were like, I think it was post show or something, and it was like, it doesn't have a pick guard. It's definitely mine. And I'm like, yeah, because some pawn shop in East LA isn't going to be able to sell a double neck bass and guitar for any kind of real price unless they put it on eBay.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Oh my gosh,
makes complete sense. They got greedy, and then he found it. That was that one. Yeah, you've gotten 3 basses back. 1 bass twice, and that one.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Wow, I hear so many horror stories about that. Yeah, I had this special guitar and it got stolen. I've never seen it. That's.
Yeah. I can't believe how lucky I am. And they're never out of my sight anymore. I mean, even, I get nervous when we're on tour and let's say it's, lunchtime. So we pull up to a restaurant, and all the gears in our we have a Ford Transit van. It's kind of a big, like a Sprinter van kind of thing.
Yeah.
So our gear is in the back, and you can't really see. The windows are blacked out. You can't see in there. And we figure, well, we're just going in for lunch. You know, there's an alarm. We'll be gone a half hour.
Yeah.
But I'm still, every once in a while, I just kind of get up and I'll just walk out there and just look, just make sure it's cool.
I don't blame you at this point.
And then every night, all the guitars come into the hotel rooms with us, which is a bummer. Like at 2 or 3 in the morning, we just want to get inside and go to bed, but you got to get a big luggage rack, got to load, because my guitars are in these really big flight cases for when we fly places.
Oh boy.
And they're really heavy, and all 5 of them, or however many I have with me, all of them come up into the room. Yeah, it's a drag, but what am I going to do? I'm not leaving those guitars in a van that could get broken into again.
No way, not anymore, man. Holy.
Yeah.
God. So speaking of live, you guys don't do encores.
Nope.
Why the decision not to do encores ever?
Well, I remember. Okay, so when I was a kid and a teenager, and I would go to shows, a big show like an arena show or whatever, and the band would say "Thank you, good night," and they'd walk off, and they hadn't played a couple of their best songs, and the lights didn't come back on, so we're all just sitting there. We're like, "Dude, we know you're coming back. Well, this is fake."
This is ego.
And it's true. It is fake. Like they've been contracted to play for 90 minutes. They walk off stage at 75, and they do whatever, and then they come back and play the hit song. And I remember being a teenager thinking, if I'm ever in that position, I'm not going to do that, because all that time that they were off stage, they could have played another song. And as a fan, like, I would have liked to have heard another song instead of you guys doing whatever you're doing off stage. And so when Tim and I started, like when we were just playing bars and just getting going, if people went nuts and were like, please, we'd look at each other and be like, okay, well, what do we do? It was real. It was a real encore.
Yeah.
But now we're big enough where we're playing venues where we would walk off a stage into a dressing room. We're not out at the bar with everybody or whatever. So they'd have, it's just, if we walk off and then come back on, it's that fake thing. Like, we have a contract that says we're supposed to play for 90 minutes or whatever. And I'm just thinking about the 17-year-old me, like, dude, not going to walk off. We'll just play another song. We'll just finish the whole thing.
That's awesome.
And not waste everybody's time, because it's fake. It's always fake. We don't want to be fake.
First, like, artist or group that's like, no, we're just going to build it into the set. Like, they're going to cheer for it anyway. Was it like Albert or something? Like, yep, it's built into the set. We're going to do it. Like, I wonder who the first person is. Like, no, we're just going to. And lead, and like, they're screaming. No, we're going to have to give them another one. So let's just preemptively not play that song. Them scream.
Yeah.
And like, we did it. We brought it back on to play. They were going to, like, he's going to go and not play Jailhouse Rock.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
We did it. The audience. We did it. We did it.
The encore.
I remember talking to friends of mine in high school who actually thought they did it. Like, I remember my girlfriend in high school, we went to see The Cure, and I split up from her. She was with another girlfriend, and I split off from them because I wanted to go up to the front. And when we met up afterwards, she's like, oh my God, we screamed so loud. We totally got them to come back out. I was just snickering. I'm like, you did not. It's fake. She's like, what are you talking about? It's not fake. And we kind of argued about it because I couldn't prove it. I couldn't prove it was true. I'm like,
right.
No, if it was silent out there, they still would have come back out and played. She's like, no, I don't think so. Yeah, okay.
I was watching an old interview of you guys, and you had a really positive experience with Spotify. And I wanted to find out, you said you liked the format of releasing albums, and I just kind of wanted to see a little bit about if you guys are still positive about Spotify, and how you like crowdsourcing. I know there's been a bunch of problems with some crowdsourcing sites like Pledge Music. They kind of screwed a whole bunch of people. So I'm just kind of curious about how you guys think, what you think about the new way music is going with all the streaming services and the crowdfunding. Because you've done both.
Well, thank God we never used Pledge Music.
Yeah.
I think we used Kickstarter a long time ago, and maybe there's another one, Indiegogo or something.
Indiegogo, yeah.
Yeah, something like that. I think maybe what you're referring to is Pandora, because Pandora, when it first came out, like before Spotify existed, they were They were really good to us. Like,
Okay.
there was a while there where we were getting played a lot on a lot of the stations, I guess they're called.
Right.
We were just hearing from people a lot at our shows that's how they discovered us. So we were kind of grateful to Pandora. And then I think Spotify is fantastic. I think anyone who complains about it, any artist who complains about it, is probably complaining for one of two reasons. One, they're just not big enough to really make any money from it, and they think they should be making money. Or two, they have a record deal and the money is not getting to them because the record company's getting the money.
Okay.
But in our case, we own almost all of our catalog. There's only two, I think right now, I think it's just Bankers Hill and Tautology for which we have record deals. But we get everything. And I think Spotify is great. Like, we make money from it. I mean, we don't make a lot of money from it, but we make decent money from it. So I don't know. I'm thumbs up on it. How do you feel, Tim? You feel the same way?
I mean, it's the way of the world. Like, it would be nicer if people actually had to go out and buy your music, but not really. It'd be nice because that's just the way it was, and you could make a living. Just, you didn't have to tour to make music necessarily or license something. That was another part of the whole pie or whatever. Yeah. But it's not that way. It hasn't been that way for a while. So I think it's cool. I mean, I personally, as someone that listens to music, I love it.
Okay.
Yeah.
To be a bit on Spotify or something and just look up whatever I wanted to look up and like not have to pay 99 cents for it. I mean, I get it. Like, I wish it was different somehow, but it's not, and it won't be. And so, as much as I haven't maybe gotten paid for music, like, I've not paid for music because of Spotify, so it all works out.
Right. But you're also getting exposure at least too. So
that's the thing. If
we made more money selling records, I would probably be spending that money on music anyway. So
yeah.
So it's whatever. It's fine. Everyone wins.
But the thing is, like, I was playing music and had record deals back when there was no internet. When you had to have a record deal and stuff like that. And I never made a freaking penny. I mean, there was nothing. And then, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but pretty much nothing. And then Spotify, I mean, I don't know that L1011, if we were in that day and age where you had to have a record deal, I don't think we would ever get signed. Like, who would sign us? And because of Spotify, we can release music ourselves. Yeah. And go just do it ourselves. I mean, everybody can. So, of course, there's too much stuff released and it's hard to find the good stuff. But somebody said, I forget who, and I agreed with it. It said, well, if you're great, your audience will find you. Just keep doing it. So, I don't know. I think we're living in the golden age, personally, because anybody can release. Like, if you're a kid in a small town in Nebraska and you have a great idea, you can release it. You don't have to get discovered by some A&R guy in LA. I mean, that's horrible. I mean, how much great music has never been recorded because
that's a great point.
Wasn't discovered. So I think it's great. I mean, of course, there's so much out there, and how do you get through it, and how do you find the good stuff? That's the problem with it. But
yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I think it's pretty awesome.
That and I love Bandcamp also. So
sure,
because I actually like getting the physical copies of things. I like having the big artwork, either even if it's a CD or an LP, doesn't matter. I like having physical artwork, liner notes that I can look through. And that's how I found some of my favorite bands, is looking through who the CD, the artist that I bought, who they thank. Thanks for letting us play with you, whoever. Like,
that's fine.
I got to check these guys out. Okay, so that's how I found half the bands I love. Of course, nobody else knows them, but that's all right. Do you guys have to modify your instruments at all? Going back to you guys playing live, and are your instruments? They're not like, are they stock? You can just replace them if something goes wrong, or do you have modifications to the electronic drums? Or I know you guys have some interesting bass things going on too. So
yeah, it's hard for us to it's easier touring than it is to drop in and do festivals and stuff, because there's so much stuff that we use that we kind of have to have, and we can't do it. Like, a lot of people can just roll up with a laptop and rent backline and bring a guitar, and they can do that anywhere.
Yeah.
And we have to bring, a bunch of Kristian's basses, then the 2 pedal boards, because you can't rent that stuff places. My stuff is different, and like, I'm not using stock sound, so everything is like I have it a little bit tighter now. Now I have it onto a USB drive. There's some things I could rent on electronic wise and be cool, but I mean, I use rototoms, which you can't really get like a drum set made of rototoms, like for that fly-in gig, somewhere.
Right.
But so we kind of screwed ourselves in a way, like trying to be do our own thing and be like do something a little bit different. But yeah. So all our stuff is all weird.
All right.
And the setup is weird. Like it's crazy. It's like one cable could shut the show down. It's crazy.
Wow.
Like, and so we always have to. And I'm a pretty laid back dude, but I've lost some sleep over things like that. Being concerned about like if it's a big show, like we had a fly in, we had so much gear. I don't have a sampler backup. The sampler goes like there's you can't fly with backups of everything that you roll in on like a fly in or something like that. On a tour, you usually have a backup of everything, but. Man, there's just like you get off the plane, you go to the hotel, you crack the case open, plug it in, be like, all right.
Works. Still works. All right, so I've kept you guys for a little over an hour. I'll wrap it up for you. I know what you guys have other things you guys want to do other than talk to me all night. So the artwork for Tautology, is there a connection to the title or the music? A lot of your albums have geometric shapes and all. And this one's a little more abstract.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a connection, and you'll see the connection better when all three are out. Like the first two, when we're recording this podcast, the first two are only out, but when all three are out, you'll see how they connect.
Okay.
And there's definitely symbolism. Like when you open it up, it looks like, of course, it kind of looks like a propeller. But it's sort of a Venn diagram. It's kind of hard to explain unless you're looking at it. But it's definitely symbolism about the stuff I described earlier about the teenage to middle age to late late in life kind of stuff. None of our artwork is ever just random and just because we thought it was cool looking. It always has a meaning. We always use the same guy. The same guy has done every single record. Oh wow! And there's always symbolism in there and stuff. And most people won't necessarily know what it means or whatever, but that's fine. It looks good too, just hopefully by itself, even if you don't know what it means. But there's always meanings in there.
They're really interesting. So, all right. So, Kristian, the last question I have is for you, because I heard that you injured your back a few years ago, and you read a book about healing it, and I kind of wanted. I've seen that book for sure. My back has been a mess for years too, and I just kind of want to know your experience because I know the book that you read, and I haven't read it, but I've always been tempted to pick it up and explore it. How is your back now? Has it helped? And this may not end up in the podcast, so this may just end up being for me.
Well, maybe it'll be helpful for other people who have back problems. So I have a combination of scoliosis, degenerative disc disease in my mid and lower back, and playing bass for I'm getting close to 40 years. I'm 30 something years, and heavy bass amps, loading them into cars and buses and vans, and not doing it properly, and not taking care of my back when I was younger, never stretching, never doing yoga, none of that stuff.
Right.
And then my back, we were on tour a while ago. This might have been no, it was when we were on that Cody tour, Tim, that I think that was the first time I threw out my back. It was unbelievable. The pain. I mean, I could barely walk. Yeah. I was crawling on the hotel room floor at night with tears coming out of my eyes. Unbelievable. So finally, at that point, I started trying to do something about it. And the first things that helped were acupuncture and a chiropractor.
Right.
And it helped a lot. And then the pain would come and go. And then we were on tour one time. My back was aching pretty badly, and I read this book that essentially said, and this sounds totally ridiculous, that back pain is simply because of anger and anxiety, and if you let those things go, your back won't hurt anymore. And I thought, okay, that's really stupid. But as I was reading this book, my back pain literally went away. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Pardon my French, but you're saying it's in my head. Okay, I know it's not in my head because I actually have seen the X-rays where the disc disease and the scoliosis and stuff, but the back pain did actually go away. So I was like, okay. So I started meditating. I started taking CBD, and really I took the CBD for my back, and my anxiety went away because I've had a mild anxiety my whole life, like since I was a kid.
Okay.
And that really went away. And so to fast forward to kind of today, I'm just really proactive. Like I still go to acupuncture. I go to physical therapy. I take CBD. I do a lot of exercising, yoga and the stretching and stuff. And then chiropractor and, and Advil. Anyway, all those things have made it so it's pretty good. It's pretty manageable. Like normally when we're playing shows, I'm good. Every once in a while, Tim will come into the dressing room and I'm laying on the floor on my back and he's like, "Whoa, what's going on, dude?" I'm like, "It's tightening up, man." And I just try to relax, try to not get, because part of it really is the getting stressed out. Like we have a show coming up and because I've had my back go out on me on stage.
Oof.
Like I really had to kind of crawl off stage and go finish the show in a chair.
Oh, wow.
And I think part of it is keeping that at bay is just to not get stressed out about it, because that's you tense up, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the back problems are muscles spasming because they're trying to protect the spine, apparently.
Yeah.
So anyway, there's a long question to your short question. I mean, long answer to your short question is those are all the things I'm doing now. That book did seem to kind of help, and I think it's probably BS, but my back stopped when I read it. I don't know.
Hey.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Everybody's backs are different. Whatever works for me might not work for you, but
right.
Because someone might have a disc that's literally out of place and slipped, and it doesn't matter how much meditation you do. If it's out of place, it's out of place.
Yeah, exactly.
But, or if you have a cracked vertebra, or if you have a scoliosis like I do, everybody's different. But those are the things I did.
Okay.
And do.
Guys, I will let you go. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been a blast. I've really enjoyed trying to catch up with the music. I've still got a few things to listen to, and I'm anxious for the new part 3 of Tautology to come out. So,
yeah.
Thank you so much for spending part of your evening with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Having us.
Oh, my pleasure.
It was fun.
I can't turn you off.
I can't either.
He's trying. Oh, here we go. All right, I found it. I'll talk to you later, man.
That's it, man.
Bye.